Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert. I'm Joe Taylor. This morning, another in the ongoing series of programs presented by the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning. The program, through the Northwest Institute of Research, oversees a grant from the Office of Child Development and Early Learning at the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services and the Department of Education. The goal of the program is to improve the outcomes for young children as they prepare for school. John Poza from the Pennsylvania Key is the host of the program and is with us throughout the series. Well, this morning, John, I guess we're in stereo, right? We have two guests on the line.
Yes, Joe, good morning. Yes, we have two folks on our program this morning. We have Lisa Stofko, who is the communications specialist at the Learning Lamp, and Emily Thays, the director of Ignite Education Solutions, which is a partner organization with the Learning Lamp. They're both based out of Johnstown.
Yes.
And the organizations both provide resources and supports for families, particularly in the area of education, and they also work with schools. So welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Well, let's start. I want to basically just to give a little bit of a background on the Learning Lamp initially. It's obviously you're a nonprofit and you provide tutoring, preschool, and childcare for more than 1,000 families and support services in many, many school districts throughout Pennsylvania and even in Maryland. So, Lisa, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about some of the specific programs that Learning Lamp provides that helps families and kids in the area.
Well, the Learning Lamp is very mission-driven, and our mission really has remained unchanged since our inception in 2003, and that's to engage all children in the support they need to succeed. And that support can come in a variety of forms, and what we have done over the years is we look to see where there are needs and where there are gaps in services, and that's where we step in and we will provide programming, quality programming that helps to meet those needs. We actually began to provide tutoring, low-cost, affordable tutoring to children whose parents were either unable to afford private pay tutoring or didn't have the resources to help them themselves. And so we began very simply trying to make that service available to families and children. And it really grew from there. We offer a variety of services for families and schools, as you mentioned, preschool, child care, tutoring, before and after school programs. We provide drug and alcohol prevention. We provide alternative education and specialized classrooms. And we've continued to grow in terms of our partnership with schools as well. When we see that they need additional support, we manage substitute teachers to assist with that. We also help with specialized staffing. So sometimes it's easier to say what we don't do than what we do,
right?
Because it's such an extensive list. But the goal is to help children succeed at the very earliest ages on through the end of high school.
How are these programs delivered? Are they in cooperation with the school districts, or how is the structure? How are they put together and actually delivered to the kids?
Well, we work in partnership with parents. We work in partnership with schools and community organizations as well. And each program is structured differently. For example, our child care centers are typically standalone centers that we have in communities to meet the needs of those families. We have preschools that are available in our child care centers, and we also have standalone preschools that several of them are housed in school district buildings, and they provide us with space, but we manage the programs. So the benefit of that is it improves transition for the kids. The kids are in the classroom in the building that they will be entering kindergarten. They become familiar with the teachers. Those schools, without shouldering the cost, those schools are terrific at inviting us into assemblies and welcoming our classroom and our preschoolers into the school. So it really, really assists with the transition into kindergarten because those kids are already there.
Well, that's great. Now I want to touch base with Emily, who's the director, as I said, of Ignite Education Solution. And Emily, you are more involved in the actual work that goes on with the needs specifically at the schools, correct? So give us kind of an insight about some of the things that you guys work on through Ignite Education Solutions.
That is correct. As you mentioned, Ignite Education Solutions is a branch of the Learning Lamp that does provide direct-to-school services. So we are still supporting the families in their quest for quality education, but with the state of public education, school districts really do struggle to try and make ends meet with their budgets and with their staffing availability, so that's where we step in. One of the things that we provide is a very rigorous online program. So if students are interested in taking a French 3 or a course that's very specialized and it's something that the school district just cannot offer, we're able to step in and provide that coursework. We also provide alternative education for students, so if we have kids that have severe medical issues or need to be removed from general education for a period of time, we can provide that programming. We also do credit recovery courses for kids who are deficient in meeting their credit accumulation hours, so they can come with us and take courses at any time throughout the school year or even in the summer to make sure that they're still able to graduate on time. And then we also have other types of programs for kids just to make sure that they're getting a consistent education regardless of the scenario that's maybe happening at home.
Okay, now let me ask you, because, like, for instance, you mentioned about programming in classes, for instance, where for whatever reason, budgetary mainly, a school district can't provide that class anymore or would like to but don't have the funding. Now, how does the funding system structure work in terms of your being able to provide that at the school?
Well, since we're a nonprofit, we charge bare minimum for overhead and administrative fees. So by partnering with us, the school district would maybe be spending $1,000 to $2,000 versus partnering with a publicly funded or for-profit model where they could be charged $15,000 to $20,000 for the same types of service. Plus, since we are local, we're able to provide a really strong level of support, and we have a very transparent communication style. So the districts that work with us can feel confident that they'll get a high turnaround without spending the same type of money that maybe a for-profit company would have.
Right. And one of the things I can ask, either one of you can respond in terms of your services, but I know you work with several school districts in several counties. The station, we're based in Clearfield County, the Du Bois area. But we obviously our listenership is beyond just this area. But what are some of the school districts, for instance, that you work with that are near this area?
We do a lot of work with Harmony Area School District, which I think is out towards your way in Westover.
Right, it's in Clearfield, right.
We do actually have a couple clientele as well that do take use of our online programming because, as I mentioned, that can be remotely delivered from any listening area. So that could be credit recovery, that could be students that are maybe looking to take more specialized courses that maybe their home districts don't offer, and things of that nature.
Right. And as I did some background on the organization, on Learning Lamp, this name came up, Lorraine Knowlton, who I'm sure you're familiar with. She had a big part in actually starting Learning Lamp. She was an educational psychologist, and she discovered a need for affordable and effective alternatives to tutoring, specifically in working with children in public schools. And I guess her family basically made a donation to start Learning Lamp, right, and carry out this mission. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that family still have a foundation that works and provides funding to help do the programming that you do?
They do. Lorraine Knowlton and her family is actually still very much involved in our organization. It's funny because she kind of started with this donation to just start the tutoring program.
Right.
But as you mentioned, she is a school psychologist. So as we've kind of grown and expanded, we have many, many programs now outside of just the direct-to-family tutoring. we've made use of her educational psychologist background and
Right.
have definitely applied her knowledge to a lot of our other programs as well. So they are still very much involved with what our organization is doing in many different facets.
Staying with tutoring, I'd be interested, I guess, Emily, to know in which subjects is tutoring most needed in the early years of school in our general area?
We get a lot of calls for elementary students in tutoring in the summer slide, avoiding the summer slide.
Right.
Essentially what that means is, when kids leave school in May or early June, they now have 3 months where their educational needs are not being met or being met very minimally. So when they go back to school and they're starting fresh new courses, it can be really difficult for the kids to stay on track with what they're doing if they forget half of what they've learned the year prior. So we have a lot of the young students that come through and meet with our tutors maybe once or twice a week just to avoid that summer slide.
Now, just to piggyback on that, cost-wise, is that something that's borne by the parent, by the family, or is it something that's provided by the individual school?
It is something that, for the tutoring program, the parents pay for out of pocket, but we try and make it very, very affordable for families. We have tuition assistance and scholarships available.
Okay. Just wanted to reiterate, we're talking with Lisa Stofko, Communications Specialist with the Learning Lamp, and Emily Thays, the Director of Ignite Education Solutions, both based in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. There's so many of these programs that are offered, and it's just it's something with education and the bar raising every year, it seems, and assessment testing, such a big part of our educational system. It makes it certainly challenging for families to stay abreast, and children certainly to keep on pace. So that's a big part of why you are providing a lot of the services to continue to help children. Mm-hmm. What's on the horizon? What do you see, especially, as I see Pennsylvania just released its state version of how it will plan its what we call ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, which basically replaced No Child Left Behind. I don't know if you had a chance to review the draft of Pennsylvania's plan, but how will that impact, for instance, some of the services you provide?
Well, I think as far as what's on the horizon of education, there is this major push that I think is really covered in where the state is going to individualize education and make it a more personal and customized experience to meet the needs of each individual learner instead of, with the No Child Left Behind, it kind of generalized and broadened the expectations. Now students can get a much more individualized and personalized education. So that is really a fantastic thing for students coming up in the educational field in Pennsylvania, that they now have a lot more choice and they can have a lot more accommodations made to benefit their own personal learning style and situation. So that's going to be a huge plus for kids who are coming through the educational system now and in the future. We're seeing a lot of big focus on the Keystones.
Right.
We don't know quite what's going to happen with those tests, if they're going to remain to be a graduation requirement or if they might move more to the project-based model. But I think that'll continue to play out as we go through the next year or so here. But I think we will see a lot more of the specialized classes, the individualized learning modules, things of that nature, so kids can work at their own pace, can graduate on time with their peers, or potentially even advance past their grade level at a much quicker rate.
Coming up is something that I remember from my childhood, and it's really scary, and that is the first day of school. I mean, when you're going for the first time, because as a kid you don't know what to expect, and even as a parent, if this is your first child, you may not know what to expect. The Learning Lamp has actually a program both for parents and for kids to acclimate them with the first day of school and with starting school. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And actually, Emily and I this is how our phone system is set up. She just handed me the receiver, so I missed the first part of your question. So if you could restate that, please.
Oh, the first part was kind of goofy. I was talking about when I was a kid going to kindergarten on the first day. You're really scared. Your parents are scared. But you folks, the Learning Lamp, have a program that's designed to acclimate kids to the beginning of school. Talk a little bit about what that is and how that works.
Well, our preschool programs, really, preschool is the kindergarten of yesteryear.
Right.
And kindergarten today is as when we were little, is more like first grade.
Right.
So, children are being acclimated to the classroom at an earlier age, but with age-appropriate materials. I know that sometimes, we should just let them be kids, and, preschool shouldn't be so, focused on academics. There are some folks who might be concerned that we're putting kids into school too early. The preschool curriculum and the standards that are set forth in the state of Pennsylvania for early learning are very age appropriate. So there is time for free play. There is time where the kids are still being kids, but they're also learning while they're having fun. They're learning the fundamentals of early literacy and early math skills, and it's not like we're asking them to do multiplication, at the preschool level. All of the things that they're learning are fundamental skills that are going to help them when they do enter kindergarten so that they're more prepared. So it does make that first day of kindergarten a little less scary, and as we mentioned, in situations where we operate the preschool right out of a classroom in the school building, that also takes a little bit of the fear out of it.
Right, and I know Learning Lamp. I'm familiar with Learning Lamp's programming in terms of preschool and childcare, because having affiliation with the Keystone Stars program, and the various performance objectives that come out of Keystone Star. So, yeah, I have to commend the organization and the great job that you do with your preschools. For folks and schools, for instance, so that they know, for instance, if they want more information or wanted to contact you to inquire about a specific need, what would they need to do?
They could, first of all, check out our website, which is thelearninglamp.org. And really, there is a breadth of information there for any type of service that a family might be looking for their child, or as Emily had mentioned before, some of the services that kind of cross over for the older kids, be it credit recovery or SAT prep or something along that line. So the biggest resource is the website, and you kind of start there and look to see what you are, what information you're seeking, and you can always call our number, and it's 814-262-0732, and then ask to talk to someone in a particular department.
Okay, and I wanted to touch a little bit about, and this may be Emily that may want to respond to it. Special education is such a big part of school districts, and making sure that special needs children get all of the same opportunities afforded to any student. So can you touch a little bit about how you work with schools and the services you provide to help special needs kids?
Mm-hmm. This is something that we're seeing as more and more of a focus everywhere, because as parents are becoming more aware of the supports out there and the different types of things that can be done for students, with special education needs, whether that be gifted IEPs, emotional supports, anything like that, there's definitely more of a focus on that. So a lot of what we're doing, particularly on the Ignite side, is working with schools to provide specialized classrooms for emotional support kids, for kids with special education needs, or we do work with some schools to provide actual gifted-based curriculum that those kids can complete on a weekly or monthly basis to really make sure that they're still engaged and participating in curriculum that meets their high levels of ability.
Oh, that's great. That's great. You especially with the Keystones, and I brought up assessments before, and of course that's always challenging for any school, and now we have the new set with the Keystones. That's something that kids fret about, how they're going to do, school districts fret about, because it's all tied to their funding levels, and not only statewide but federally. What do you do? What can you do to support the school districts in terms of how they approach these tests, so that to put them a little bit more at ease in making sure that they're administered properly?
Well, there are a lot of preparation type curriculum that students and families can complete and that schools are now implementing. So those particular planning types of things can help set the student's mind at ease in advance of taking the test potentially for the first time.
Right.
So that, of course, we definitely recommend. If you have a student that's in that 9th or 10th grade year who's going to start to take these types of courses, it's always good just to go online or to seek assistance in getting some one-on-one tutoring, just so that the kids know what to expect on the test, what the kind of layout is, because that can alleviate a lot of the pressure and a lot of the anxiety that comes along with taking any of these types of tests. Should a student be in a situation where they take it the first time and maybe they don't do so well, we can tailor remediation for those kids, and schools are now doing that a lot more so that the kids can get that extra support just in the specific areas of need. For example, one of the keystone subjects is algebra.
Right.
So if the students take the algebra course, don't do so well on the test, you can look at the results and pinpoint where exactly the areas of weakness are and focus your remediation just on those particular skills and building those skills back up so the student then does much better the second time around.
I'd like to drill down a little bit, and then we don't have that much time left, into what I was asking before in terms of tutoring. And I'd be interested in our part of the state, because you are in our general part of the state. What are the subject areas that kids are most deficient in, so that they need tutoring in that particular subject?
We can really tutor in any subject, and we have tutoring clients currently all the way from kindergarten up to adult learners looking to take the GED. As I mentioned, we're seeing a lot in the summer. We get a lot of just grade level specific elementary kids who are looking to avoid the summer slide, and we also have a lot of high school students currently who are looking to do SAT prep tutoring through the summer. We get kids who come in and 1 week will want help with Spanish, but then the next week bring in their English essay that they need help just editing and accommodating their thesis or whatever it may be. So we can offer tutoring in really any subject area. If we get the call, we can find the staff to accommodate that. That's
terrific. Well, I'll tell you, we're winding down our program. Such great information, great resources. I want to thank Lisa Stofko, the communications specialist for the Learning Lamp, and Emily Thays, the director of Ignite Education Solutions, both based in Johnstown, but providing services throughout the state of Pennsylvania and Maryland to school districts and families alike. So thank you guys so much for being on the program. I hope to have you back again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's our program for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks at this same time. In the meantime, you can go online to learn more at papromiseforchildren.com. For John Posa and the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning, I'm Joe Taylor. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.